Bang da da bang da bang da bang biscuit, episode 92 or something like that, season 4 in the house. We took the summer off, but we're back. I see Chopper, I see Flicky. Chop, let's start with you. You ready to do this for a 4th season, brother?
I mean, I can't wait. It still feels like we're just starting out. So that's pretty awesome. We've got a bunch of episodes in the can, and I feel like we've got a lot more for the folks. So super excited, dude. Let's go.
You know, you've got a special friend when you can take 3 months off. We haven't seen each other, we haven't talked to each other, but I see you this morning. It felt like 3 days.
Yes.
And the beard looks really good.
Tight.
And what happened to your AirPods? The listeners should know.
Well, Kirk Gibson, Kirk Gibson's gonna do what Kirk Gibson does. He'll break hearts. I mean, ask the Oakland A's. And so similar to Dennis Eckersley, Gibson broke my heart and he busted my AirPods.
The dog ate your AirPods, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
that is as old as elementary school gets. Dog ate it. But
Yeah.
you're here anyway.
It's
So
my fault. It is my fault. I got a break on the price. I got the beef bouillon flavored AirPod, so that's on me.
well, not going to give you a scholar salute, but I'll give you a bounce back salute there. And officially, the three-headed monster here with Coach Flick Money. Flicky, how are you? Where do we find you?
uh, Live from the Spring Hill Suites on Revere Beach in Boston, Coach. I feel like a crisp $20 bill. Andy Jackson, just brand new, with that smell. I feel like I got my mid-season big league call-up when I started with you guys last year, and so I'm fired up for this season, Coach. I am a bundle of enthusiasm and coaching platitudes, ready to go. Let's do this.
Let's go. I saw many of you listeners on the road this summer, and some of you put that rock in my shoe. Hey, man, when's the pod coming back? We took the summer off. Thank you for being patient, but we're back. We're rejuvenated, and we've got a theme for season 4. It's Build an Army. This podcast has always been a podcast about making youth sports better. And I think the secret to that is you got to educate and equip parents and coaches. Most of you volunteering your time when you have busy jobs and busy lives outside of the field or the basketball court or wherever it may be. So we're here to educate and equip. And thank you for being our loyal listeners, our Patreons. We just did a payout, and I don't know what you guys did with that. I definitely took my family out to Outback Steakhouse for a bloomin' onion and had some great quality time with the fam. If you want to support the patreon.com/ chop and ball game, you can do that there. Also, Tommy Gold is in the house. He will be throwing up some more social media posts. So at Ballgame and Chop. Find us on Instagram. The Talkin' Shop podcast is on Facebook as well. So we're transitioning from Ball Game and Chop to Talkin' Shop because we've got Flick Money in the house now. So fired up, and I wanted to crank the conversation up with a little something called the pillars. I think each coach, when you embark on your fall season, you should have some pillars. What are you standing on? What's your foundation, your core? And so we're going to hit our top one. I'll hit my top one. Flicky will hit his. Chopper will hit his, and we'll have 3 pillars to get us going. And then we're going to answer your questions. To follow the theme of our podcast this season, Build an Army. How do we do that? We answer your questions. So email us at coachballgame@gmail.com, or you can DM me on my Instagram. I check those as well. And we'll hit 5 per week. These are great topics we've got today. So a little tease of what's coming here on this episode 92. But guys, before we hit that, my daughter, Avery Jean, the 10-year-old, her first ever softball practice is tonight. And I get to I get to put into practice all this stuff. Coach Ballgame is not Coach Ballgame tonight. I am dad to a softball player, and I'm kind of like a rookie again. I've got to go to Dick's Sporting Goods. We've got to get a bat. We've got to get pants. We've got to get cleats. We got to get a mask. I'm going to be scurrying, asking questions to the attendant there, going, "Hey, she's a size 3.5 shoe, but were the cleats, 2 pair of socks? Should we go up in size?" So, any advice for me as the dad sitting in the lawn chair tonight, watching my daughter practice? Flick Money, let's start with you.
I mean, I love the stories of how Doug Lowe, your dad, used to watch you, and I feel like that's a phenomenal family. It's almost like an heirloom almost. It's the gift of unconditional positive regard at a distance, if that's what she wants. And I imagine, knowing Avery Jean a little bit, I imagine you'll have a conversation with her. How do you want me to be a fan? How do you want me to help or not, as terms of coaching? So I know that'll bring you closer. But I'm excited to see the Doug Lowe. Do you have a lawn chair, Coach? And do you have
100%.
a six pack of cherry Pepsi that you can throw in the old cooler and take out to the field?
The only difference is I'm thinking of going at a girl shirt instead of the Hawaiian shirt unbuttoned, as I think Avery Jean might she's getting into that age where dad embarrasses her when he just opens his mouth or his shirt. So I might go add a girl shirt with the lawn chair, 6 pack of milk. Gonna go milk probably. But yeah, we had the discussion last night. Do you want me to be Coach Ballgame? Do you want me to be Doug Lowe? How can I be a fan of you in this journey? And she said, uh, just be there and be ready to fill up a water cooler or rake some dirt or help the coach if he needs it. And I think that's perfect. I want to be Mr. Positivity. I don't want to come in running the show like this is what I do for a living. No, this is totally different for me. So I'm going to take my own advice when I advise parents on what to do from the bleachers. And let's see if Tara Jean, Mrs. Ballgame, let's see how she does as a softball parent. And that could bring up some good conversations on this pod. Chopper, what about you? Any advice for me as softball dad?
Sound advice from Flick Money. You can feed off what I did when I came to see you at camp. Just look for something to help. Yeah, it's like, oh, let me see, because I know there's a million different things going on, so you can kind of anticipate. And just look to help. And if something pops into your head, don't be afraid to say, "Hey, can I help you?" And which I know you won't be. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. So you're equipped for this, my guy. Breathe and slow the moment down.
How may I help you? I love it. I do feel like I'm a first year coach again, coming in as a rookie. Secondly, I just had a phone conversation with friend of the pod, Daniel Bard, closer of the Colorado
Love that.
Rockies.
Name drop salute.
Name drop salute. Also, I just found this out recently. He caught from the bullpen at Fenway Park, where Flicky is. He caught the home run ball of one Daniel Nava. The home run ball, grand slam on the first pitch. I tell the story all the time, but I'm telling that story in South Carolina last year, and he's there in the dugout while I'm telling the story, and he goes, "Hey, quick note, I caught that ball."
That's amazing.
That's ridiculous. What are the chances?
Yeah.
What are the chances of a guy like you and a girl like me? Come
More
on,
like
Lloyd
1 in a million,
Christmas.
Coach.
Amazing.
So he reached out. He said, "Hey, my elbow's hurt this year. I'm taking the rest of the season off. So I'm coaching my kids, and I've got this 9 and 10-year-old team that I'm coaching. And man, it is first year of kid pitch, and I've got 85 different things in my brain to teach these kids. But I feel like the best route is to find that one that each kid needs and simplify it. And I couldn't agree more. one of my pillars, I won't, share it in detail today, but teach the skills in a fun and simple way. For these 9 and 10-year-olds who are learning how to pitch, find that one word, and that's your word of the day. Maybe that's release point. Maybe that's balance. Maybe that's power. Maybe that's stride. But lecture for 20 seconds and let the reps do the rest. But to have a guy who's pitching at the highest level not know how to teach his 9 and 10-year-olds how to do it, how do I not overcomplicate things? I'd love for you guys to hit on that real quick on how simple is better. Chaparewski?
Yeah, I kind of love this topic because, especially with pitching, because you can go down a rabbit hole with pitching, right? But with little guys, especially for us, because we get kids that are coming over from little league and then they get into club baseball, where it matters that you can have the ability to come set and then hit a balance point and go. So that's really what I focus on. At the end of catch play, every practice, we do flat grounds. So it's 10 pitches. Some kids want to go from the windup. I'm like, no, let's go from the stretch, because I need you to be able to come in with the runner on base and come set the right way, take a deep breath, hit a balance point, separate on time, and throw it through a target, throw it through a little dime-sized target in the glove. And so that's how simple we make it. Give me a good balanced balance point, separate on time. Talk a lot about like a strong glove side, point to your target and pull it back towards your chest. But it's really that simple. And I don't get into hip coil. I don't get into anything other than, can you throw a ball where you want it 7 out of 10 times?
Yeah, he discussed how one of the pitchers is definitely advanced and has pitched a lot, but the rest of them have never pitched at all. So being able to cater to each kid, and that's where you got to get to know each player. Flick Money, you're the 20-second lecture guy. I stole that from you. Simple is better. How and why?
How? Short explanation. Why? Their attention spans aren't going to hold much. Because I ran an indoor facility for quite a while, I had the luxury of experimenting with sort of building programs. So what does a hitting program look like for an 8-year-old? And what I learned is, not only because I needed to build a product that I could sell, I had to figure out like a curriculum week by week by week. But that allowed me to think about, what is the progression of skills that they need to put a whole swing together? What's, as Chopper's talking about, what's the progression of skills to be effective strike thrower on the mound? Because there's a series of body movements that we need to train. So I think it's important to say, at the first year of whether you're working on hitting or pitching or defense, whatever it is, this practice, I'm willing to die on the hill of this one skill. For me, it's that the heels, how the heels pop when we hit, that drives that back knee to the ball. I'm just going to we're just going to work on popping the heels and getting that back knee to the baseball. And that's all we're going to work on today. And they are a massive success if they do that movement, and we work on that even regardless of the swinging and missing and what else is happening. Because I know next practice I'm going to come back, and then we're going to add the hand path, and I know that I'm going to start getting more consistent contact. So that's how I handle big groups when you're doing this. But what I heard you saying that Daniel Bard said was he wants to communicate what each kid specifically needs, because he's got that probably major league ability to diagnose and say, okay, this kid needs this thing, this kid needs this thing. And if you've got the time in your practice individually to work with the child like that, or player, I think that's awesome. I always kind of think, how am I going to do this as a team? Let's walk one step at a time through each skill, and keep the explanation short, high reps. And I trust that we're going to, by the time the 2 or 3 weeks of this gets put together, it's going to start looking like real pitching and like real hitting.
And don't get in the weeds about the day one. They are not throwing strikes after that one simple thing you taught them. No, it's a whole journey. It's a season, but you're climbing a ladder, going up the ladder, trying to improve a little bit, small steps each week. And then by the end of the journey, maybe you've gotten somewhere, but no need to rush into anything whatsoever. Bang. So let's get right into it. The 3 pillars that we're going to discuss as far as our top coaching pillars, I'll lead off, and mine's build trust. I'm writing a book, and I'm not far from being done. I'm telling you, it's really close. And the first chapter is build trust. Why? Because the kid is gonna love the game more and love what you're teaching them more if they know you care about them. My favorite quote: no significant learning can happen without a significant relationship being built first. I put that quote up in my Instagram stories yesterday, and I got a lot of good feedback from that, and a lot of fall ball coaches taking that quote to their practice last night because it's true. We get in the weeds. We really look up every YouTube video on how to teach the skill of pitching, catching, throwing. How do we get this kid to hit that outside pitch? That's down the road, folks. First things first, be a Dusty Baker, become a savant of the person, as Jay Bruce told us. Get to know them because they're going to go to battle for you. They're going to say yes when you challenge them down the road. If you can build that trust and get to know them as a person, then the player will come second. What else you got there, Flick Money, on my top pillar, build trust?
I mean, you're masterful, and whether you do it in a camp setting, you do it in a team setting, getting to know the person, and what's embedded in that, coach, is you're communicating an unconditional positive regard, an unconditional love for the human, and people will go to proverbial battle for you as a coach when they know that you're behind them like that. So I just kudos to you. I think it's really important, and I'm so proud to be a part of what you're doing because it's needed.
Yeah, and simply put, in a practical way, how do I use it is giving them nicknames. And so for all of you fall ball coaches just starting your practices this week, spend 15 minutes getting to know them. Furthermore, spend an evening getting to know all the parents. People love food, so build trust with the parents as well. Have a little barbecue, cook up some burgers, and listen to all the parents' stories. Listen to where they came from and what their path has been, their journey. That way, when you do drop the truth bomb in an email of this is how we're going to do things, they'll listen. That they will hear it more because they trust you. Choparooski, what do you got on building trust?
I mean, yeah, building trust is huge. It's that relational equity so that if you've got to do something or say something that could be perceived as, hey man, what's this guy up to? Or what's his intent? They know, like, oh, coach loves me. Coach wants what's best for me. The parents know, like, I trust Coach Ballgame. And so, yeah, you've got to build that trust. That's the key. It's all about relational equity. We're in the people business as coaches.
Yep, people before the player. Flick Money, you're batting second here, brother.
2-hole. See if I can move you up, coach. I'm going to build on your trust building by saying one of my pillars is clearly communicating my vision as a coach, vision for our team, vision for how we practice, vision for how we play, vision for how we celebrate, vision for how we correct. And I want to communicate that not only to my players, but also to my coaches, also to my parents. I want everyone to be on the same page. And this is all under the banner of why. Why are we doing the things that we're doing? Right? Not everyone has to agree. They just need to understand what ours are as a team. This is the way we're doing it here. I used to use that phrase a lot as a head coach. I respect any family's right to try to do what's best for their child in their eyes. And this may not be I may not be the right program or right team for you. I hope I am. I think I can be beneficial. But if I've clearly communicated it, I have to respect if someone says, hey, I'm going a different direction, that's fine. But at least there isn't any question. And I think being clearly communicating that vision helps build more trust within our team community and our team framework, especially when they see me living it out. right? If part of my vision is that we are going to practice, we're going to sweat our faces off, both laughing, we're going to have tears of joy coming out of our face, we're going to work hard, we're going to compete at a high level. Even in practice, we're going to make it fun. And yes, we're going to make it competitive so that we learn in high stress situations how to perform. If that's part of my vision, they need to see me. I better be there early setting up. I better be the last one at the park. I better be on that hand drag. I better be picking up trash around the field. They need to see me working like I'm embedding in our culture that we're going to work and practice in the way that we play. So it's just another way to build trust. But I really think in this age of information, the why is very important, and communicating our whys and our shared values. And also, I would just add one little thing: being willing to learn. If someone adds, a parent says, "What about this?" or "Can you help me? Can help me understand this?" Being willing to adjust as new information comes in, whether it's specific to a player, or a parent has a great idea or something that they've seen work well in the past. Being willing to to learn, can continually learn, and have an open mindset with it.
Love that. Two things that stood out to me: lead by example. It's the best way to lead, a servant leader. We talked about that with Doc Roberts on episode 5 about just do your thing, the way you walk, the way you move. People watch that, people study that. So lead by example. And then 2, being open to other people's advice. I'm self-aware enough to know that kind of why I'm wired to be self-righteous, and I kind of take every bit of constructive criticism, whether that's from Mrs. Ballgame or somebody else, with a grain of salt. And like, I know, I think I've got the right way. And I know that about myself. And so I've been able to check myself at the door and look in the mirror when somebody is giving me constructive criticism or advice or an idea, and be able to heed it. So hopefully that'll help you, be self-aware enough to know how you're wired. I'm also wired to feel like a failure when a kid is not doing what I want them to do. And then I go into a sarcastic, passive aggressive mode. These are flaws that really reared their ugly head early in my coaching career, and I've learned a lot. Flick Money, my other mentor, Dan Spring, just helped me out a lot with that. So a lot of this book that I'm writing, the first line is, "I used to be a bad coach," and it's true. I think everybody comes out of the gates with a lot of energy, but maybe just looking at it through the wrong lens. So really good. That's build trust 1, folks, and that's set those clear expectations with a vision 2. Batting third, we need some ribbies here, Chopperoo.
Yeah, I want to touch on Flick Money's pillar as well, of vision of having a micro and a macro. And we had Hunter Pence on, and he was huge on that. He wanted everyone to buy into that vision of, we're going to be holding up this championship trophy at the end of it. And his belief was, the more people that could believe in that, not just within the clubhouse, the fan base. A lot of Giants fans remember he gave this really powerful speech at the end of the season where we had to go on the road and to Pittsburgh. And it was this like, hey, do you guys want to see us come back and play more games here at home? We had to do a lot of things on the road to get back for them to see another game at Oracle Park. And everyone was going, yes, yes, yes. And he did this whole thing where he had everyone chanting like, do you want to see us do this? Yes, yes, yes. Do you believe we can win? Yes, yes, yes. And he had everyone believing in this vision. It's really powerful. So that would be the macro for a team. And it doesn't have to be win. It can be whatever you want your vision to be for the macro. And then the micro is, let's get better every day. Let's treat each other with love and respect. Let's make good choices and good decisions away from the field, where you could spend an extra 30 minutes playing video games, or you can spend 10 or 15 minutes doing something to get better, or calling a friend and saying, hey man, I love being your teammate. It's so cool spending time with you. I thank you for what you did today at school. And so have a micro and have a macro. My pillar is creating a good culture. And I think that's really important. Tim Corbin, who's the head coach at Vanderbilt, saw a video where he talked about your culture is what you tolerate. And so big deal. But for us, we want to build a culture of character and of our kids being confident and fearless and resilient and having a high athletic ceiling, working extremely hard in that, and having great baseball IQ and being fundamentally sound, and just all these great things where we don't worry about winning a game. We're focused on, hey, our culture, if you want to come be a part of our family, this is what's important to us. We care about being rooted in love and respect. And that's from parents to coaches, coaches to parents, kids to coaches, coaches to kids. It's everything that we do. And we're going to mess up. And when we do, we own it. Hey, I'm really sorry. Hey, my tone should have been a little bit better right there. I'm sorry. But coming back to your point, Coach Ballgame, this happened last night at practice where I had to kind of fire up a little bit. But everyone on that field, all 20 pups, we had our older group out there, they've seen from a year and a half how much I love them and care about them. So when coach had to raise his voice, like they knew, all right, coach is a little fired up right now, but I know he loves me. He showed me for a year and a half straight that he loves me. And I even addressed it after practice, like, hey, you guys saw another side of me. I got a little intense there. And everyone's like, yeah, you did. But like smiles on their face, like they know coach loves them. Coach just had to hold them to a standard in that moment. And so I also touched on the fact how proud I was of a couple of the players because they saw a side of me they've never seen, but they responded in spades, like incredibly. Yes, coach, good body language, understood what I was saying, and then just was an absolute champion in that next moment. So culture is what you tolerate. It's got to be rooted in love and respect. And do not like waver on your culture. Like, don't just be like, you know what, I'm gonna let so-and-so in because of X, Y, or Z. It's risky. And it can impact your culture in a negative way.
Funny, the thread I heard with all three of those pillars is what you do, not what you say in an email, but when you're building trust, what are you doing there? What kind of example are you leading? Well, you have body language of you're inviting all the kids in. Come on in. I want to learn about you. I want to get to know you, and other people see you with that invitation of unconditional love. Same with Coach Flicky on the topic of vision, where sure you can have a 5-hour lecture on how we're going to do things, but they're going to learn a lot more by just watching the way you do it, and then build that culture. Bang. You want others to join into your culture, then you be the one showing up early, dragging that field, or setting up those stations, or the way you react in a high leverage moment, or when a kid makes an error. Lead by example. It always comes back to that. Beautiful. That's three strong pillars. I dare say those could be your top three, coaches out there, parents out there, this entire fall season. We've got questions to answer, but I want to make sure you two guys button up anything on our pillars. Anything to add?
I mean, yeah. So we gave y'all three, and then obviously there's a plethora of just sub pillars. But if you have those three dialed in, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. And just making sure. I was talking to a parent about this last night. Whatever it is for you, for me, it is, I want to be able to attend each of my kids' wedding, that I get to coach. Whatever it's going to be for you, that can change your lens so that when you want to get frustrated with you're still through that lens of like, I want that young man to say, coach, I can't have this special day without you. And that changes how you're going to react in that moment. I think that's really powerful. And I think that's an underlying key for all three of these pillars, whatever that means to you as a coach, where that can kind of slow you down so you don't overreact on a field with a bunch of youngsters. Make sure you're winning their heart.
Lick?
As we're going to hear with some of the questions I know that are going to come up today, a lot of this has to do with, in 2024, how we communicate and are with our kids' families as well, their parents. Sort of tracking over the last, several decades, our country have gone from big family sizes to small family sizes. We've got 1 or 2 kids or more normal. Not everyone has 4 Chopperooskies running around anymore. So when you have small families, these parents are investing a lot of time and energy into 1 or 2 children playing sports. And so the expectations for them of what they believe they deserve, what they think their child should be getting out of a team, everything has been ramped up. And the stress has been ramped up around it. So I would just add that from these pillars, part of the building trust and the inviting in needs to acknowledge that high stress, high stakes feel that a lot of the parents are coming in with. And in communicating in a vision and in building trust with the child, let's also, bring in those parents as much as possible. And let's find out if there's places where it doesn't feel like a fit. Why doesn't it feel like a fit? Just as a small example, I used to say, as part of my vision, I want every player on this team to be able to play every position. Whether or not they're going to play that position in high school, I want them to learn the game from that angle, because they're going to be a better teammate. When I'm pitching, if I've also played right field, I'm going to be a much better teammate. If I know how tough that ball, that side spinner heading towards the lines is for that player to make that play, I'll be a better teammate for him. If that play doesn't get made in a quote unquote big spot, So I really wanted to teach the game from all angles. But there were parents who said, I want my kid to play short. He's the shortstop. He's going to play college baseball as a shortstop. If you're going to roll him out there on left field in the 7th inning, then you may not be the team for me. Let's have that conversation. But I also embedded in that is I want to learn from the family, what is their experience with college baseball? What do they know about how a player develops, because I have some experience with this. Let's see what we can learn from each other, and maybe there's a way that we can turn into a win for everybody. So that communication extending to those adults, I think, is really critical in 2024.
Well, you're a master at it, master communicator. Even when you're right, Flick Money, you're not gonna force your hand on somebody else. You're going to listen to them. And I've learned a lot through that. I feel like I know I'm right when I say you need to teach these kids to play different positions, not just for the teamwork aspect or being a good teammate, but when you're that shortstop going into 9th grade, there's a stud junior who's going to Oklahoma State who's going to be starting at shortstop the next 2 years. So you need to know a different position if you want to play on that team. I think that is a huge factor in it. But you've taught me I can't just come out hot like that. I've got to find out, well, why are they trying to specialize so much? So a lot there, man. Oh man, we got about 20 minutes left here, and I want to hit your questions, listeners. So thank you for sending these in. I think the most common theme I've gotten over the summer has been emotional outbursts. I got this kid, whether it's my son, my daughter, or the kid on the team, when something goes wrong, they go berserk. And one of the specific questions we got was, I had to pass on an 8U baseball player due to his giant emotional outbursts when things didn't go his way. From not getting the position he wanted that inning to getting thrown out at a base, loud yelling outbursts. The entire park was aware of it. And every game, there was time dedicated to getting him calmed down and ready to play again. His dad was an assistant coach on that team. Great guy, great family. Obviously, the family doesn't like my decision on passing on him for next year's team. This team will be a first-year travel team, and I just couldn't imagine having to deal with that every game. Did I remove him too quick? First of all, thank you for the question. Thank you for the vulnerability and being open. An incredibly good question. And Flick Money, you dialed in some great bullet points on this. I'll let you lead us off on emotional outbursts and what should this coach do?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I wish there was a one size fits all. Not all emotional outbursts are made of the same stuff. They look the same on the outside. Some of them, as we all know, can be completely unrelated to baseball. The kid could be having some other really big issue in their life, and baseball is just the thing that they love. And that one high stress moment, they make an out or something goes against them, and it's all the emotion. It's like a dam, the burst of the dam, right? That's one possibility. Another possibility is what I'll call the John McEnroe. If you remember the great tennis player John McEnroe, just anything that didn't go his way, he just had like, it's a whole body visceral scream of energy every single time, well into his adult life, and was the world's #1 ranked player. So that can be, as Coach Ballgame, as you like to say, when that quality matures, that can turn into an incredible grinder, a very hard worker, competitive person. So that's a different type of emotional outburst. There can be the player that's really emotionally immature, possibly because they've been rewarded for these outbursts over and over and over. And so they're now sort of still functioning like a 2 or a 3-year-old who has learned this is how they're going to get their way. If they just do this enough, eventually someone's going to buckle and give them what they want. So we can't, we're not always privy to which type of outburst am I dealing with. I wish there was a one size fits all. But in response to this particular question, I would say, first of all, the fact that you're asking a question tells me you're wondering, is 8 years old too young to make a determination like this on a kid? That's what I hear in the question. Did I pull the trigger too early? And I think that's the question we should be surfing. Where is if I don't put him on the team, he tries out, I say, sorry, I've seen your outburst before, I don't want to be a part of it. Now what? Where does that child go? Right? And so the fact that you're asking the question leads me to believe that you have some feelings yourself. Maybe this is a little too young to let a child go. And I would just say, not knowing the context, what was communicated to the child? In other words, have there been clear goals for him with his behavior, and say, look, each time we're going through this, it's taken us 3 minutes of collective team time to try to calm you down. Can we work that? Let's work that back to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then you capitulate and give me some deep breaths, some 4-second in and 6-second out breaths. Can we work that back to 2 minutes? In other words, have there been attempts to creating behavioral goals so that there's a clear path for him? Because if it's just, he sort of was doing this for a season, then he tried out and without, we just ripped him. We said, nope, sorry. It was sort of a gotcha moment. Then I'm a little bit concerned about how that lands for the child. Like, you're essentially saying, sorry, who you are isn't acceptable. What's that message to an 8-year-old? I'm just trying to remember at 8, it's just like, if I love baseball a lot and my friends are all playing and now all of a sudden I'm not on this team, what's the path forward for me? Is there another coach who's going to work with me? And what are they like? Are they going to make it worse? So these are some of the questions. And I think the best way to deal with it for me is, let's assume that he needed to not get what he wanted. Let's assume that is growth for this player. Not getting what you want is the growth point, and maybe the coach sussed that out. So I'm going to go with you on that. Now, what do we do? In other words, is there a clear path back? How does that 8-year-old as a 9-year-old make that team again? And have we communicated a clear vision, macro vision? You're on the team next year. You're a stud. Micro, here's the steps to get there, based on some indicators that are measurable, that are simple to understand for an 8-year-old. We can measure them, and hopefully they're repeatable, so that over time there's some growth there. So I think that's what I would go with.
Man, that's beautiful. I mean, that is so good. And I'll just add a little dessert to that. Is you're 100% right. The key there is open dialogue with the parents. I think that there needs to be, when you're starting to feel this feeling of this might not work for next year, have that cup of coffee with the parents and say, this is what's going on. Is this consequence, or is this route, is it going to be productive for this child? To give them this consequence with a goal and the steps that you need to take that goal, so the following year you're back in the game. But I do think that some communication with the child and with the family is huge. It'll just take the pressure off of you as a coach. It'll take that icky feeling that you're feeling out. And I don't think it's too late to do that, to meet with them and say, this is how we did this. This was the decision, why we did this. And here's the good thing is I want you back. I need you back, but there's some steps that need to be taken. So first things first, you got to sniff out that kid's love language. Why are they having those outbursts? Try to build trust and become a savant of that person. But yeah, communication. That'll kind of take any icky feelings away from you. Chopperoo, what do you got?
We talk a lot about this, and I've got a lot of really talented kids that have trouble with this. And I feel like a lot of times there's a correlation from the more talented a kid, the more frustrated they are when they get out because they have a higher expectation. As a coach, you want that. We want kids that care. But with that said, there's a lot of power and energy, right? And we talk a lot about it here. John McEnroe can be as wild as John McEnroe wants to be. That's a solo sport. But in baseball, like Flick Money always talks about, I need 12 guys pulling on that same side of that rope. And as soon as you've got one that kind of veers off and makes it about me, now you've got 4 or 5 other kids are like, oh, what's wrong with Flick Money? Oh, he's upset. And we're losing our focus. You become a drain instead of a fountain. And so talking a lot about that energy. Now, is that too much for an 8-year-old? Yeah, probably. But as a coach, just understanding and start slowly explaining to kids why it matters. We've got to be all in on a common goal. And when you start doing that, it's a very selfish move. There's more than one way to help a team win. So I've got an athlete right now who has already been pulled from a game. We've told this story in a championship game of a tournament. We're down 8-0. His parents ripped him off the field, justifiably so. And then our team came back and won, including when his spot was up in the lineup, that had to be an automatic out. Because I had to have that integrity to tell the umpire, even in the middle of this rally, like, hey, we had a kid that had to leave, so that's got to be an out. That was the first out of this rally. Same athlete, fast forward 6 months, just got pulled from a game. What is today? Tuesday, 3 days ago, so on Saturday night. And then dad had to come tell me, hey, we're going to take a little break, with an incredibly talented kid that just can't get right. This is like his dog has officially died. And he's bawling, crying, he's inconsolable. And so as parents, remember, coaches, we're partnering with parents. And it's not this like, I'm getting rid of you and the family. You guys are outcasts. It's like, no. To your point, Coach Ballgame. Hey, we've got it. It's whatever we're doing right now is not working. And this is way bigger than baseball. This is something he's got to navigate in life. Of how do you deal with failure? How quickly can you get back in the moment and respond? And so I'm going through it right now. And there is no perfect answer other than making sure they know we love them, and making sure they know this isn't a personal attack. In fact, this is an act of love. And so that would be my advice for that coach. I fully support that coach saying, hey, this is our culture and we can't tolerate that. And here's why. But I love your son and I hope he's back. And let's work towards that and make sure he knows that I love him and I care about him. And if there's anything I can do to help, we want him back. But here's why we can't tolerate it.
Yeah, there's a valuable life lesson there, and you're not going to get what you want most of the time. And how can you navigate that? So, man, Flick Money, anything to button up that first question there? I feel like we could talk 30 minutes on just this topic every episode.
No, you guys, thank you so much for bringing in those other 2 pieces, which are just bringing the parents in. It's not purely a coaching decision. This is a community decision. We're raising young humans how to be functional members of our society. And so thanks for bringing those pieces in. And Chopper, I love the reminder of the sort of the team culture aspect of it, which is, you're making it about you. You don't realize it, but how powerful that energy is in a team setting. I love that. So yeah, thanks for those.
I do recall as a rookie coach battling fire with fire and coming hot. When I saw a kid hot, I'd come back with, that's not okay. We don't do it that way. And that worked 0% of the time. So I think relationship and love language. If those are at the forefront, then you can put your head on the pillow at night and feel like you did your best. Question 2, and
Coach
this is
Ballgame.
switching gears totally, but yeah, come on.
Sorry, I want to touch on this really quickly. And this is something that only works if you built relational equity, but I want to share what happened last night at practice. We're doing a drill. One of our better players, it's rundowns. And as we know, the play shouldn't happen at the next base. It should happen at the base they're coming from. And the play shouldn't happen at a base where an umpire can say, oh, he might have slid under the tag. You want to close the distance and make a play in the base path where the base is not a factor in the equation. One of our better players didn't close the distance. He's standing on second base where the guy's advancing to, puts the tag down, and I call him safe as the umpire. Was he out? Maybe. I think he was safe. Irrelevant. And this player goes, what? Right? And so this is where they saw a different side of me. And I said, the response should not be what to an umpire. The response should be, what can I do better? Right? That's like, as an athlete, the growth mindset is, okay, the result's irrelevant. What could I have done better to change the result? Not, we got screwed by an umpire's call. And so that was what kind of triggered me into this, like, hey boys, like it's got to be accountability, and it's in X, Y, and Z, and still layered in the love, but that kind of triggered it. I have no idea why I thought of that, but I wanted to share it. So I did. So bang, let's get back to it. We can cut that at post.
No, we'll definitely keep it in. I mean, I think we all as coaches have triggers that get us a little, ooh, I got to call a team meeting and I got to go preacher here a little bit. And for me, I've learned, I think those instincts are right. A lot of times they're having to do with character or respect. And it bothers me a lot. I just got to make sure I take 4 deep, long breaths, and it's an awkward, silent 20-second pause before I open my mouth. Otherwise, I'm going to be speaking from a place of anger. And I've learned that about myself. Not a productive place for me to speak from. So I think we're always examining our heart as a coach, and where are we speaking from, and the more self-aware we can get, the better.
Ironically, coach, the 4-second breath in and the 6-second release is what that child needs. The 8-year-old who's having a hard time managing, that they're too young. His brain science says he doesn't have the ability to think about his own thinking yet, or to understand his own feeling. He hasn't developed the prefrontal activity for that. But if, for me, the simple measurable goal would be, do I see the next time that outburst happens, I need to see you make an attempt to regain your presence in the moment through breathing. I'm going to teach you a 4-second in and a 6-second out. We're going to do a few of them together. And I need to see that somewhere inside of, whatever the length of time, sometime inside of 1 minute and 30 seconds. If I can see you making that attempt, we're going to call that a win. If there's no attempt made and the outburst continues, then we did not meet our goal on that. So I think that actually is the medicine, what you've just laid out for yourself as a coach, to not fight fire with fire and to manage our emotions. That's actually what we need to be teaching also our youngsters.
Yep. We could write a whole book on emotional outbursts and how to attack it. I'll say one last thing. The culture, which is one of our pillars from earlier, should be set to, we're not going to other this person. They're not in the other area where 10 kids are able to manage their emotions, but this one kid, woof. There's got to be how can Benny the Jet go across the creek and help Smalls? That's the culture we need to set. So that's one of the tools to pull out of the tool pouch when the outburst happens. Let's get Benny the Jet to go over to him and say, I've done the same thing, buddy. And that will probably not work, but at least it's a step towards it. Empty that tool pouch. It's a fascinating topic. That's why I get so many questions on it. I think a lot of moms and dads, they get embarrassed when their child is the one doing that. And that's a whole nother episode where we can chat about how to do it, whether you're coaching your own son or daughter and they're outbursting, or you're in the bleachers. Okay, this is totally different topic. I love it. Let's switch gears completely. Hey, coach, my son is 8. And we just started our first year of kid pitch. We talked about this a little bit with Daniel Bard, kid pitch. How many pitches should they pitch in a game at that age? I don't care about winning. I care about the boys' development and learning kid pitch. Well, I'll start right there. That's you're looking through the correct lens, development here. But maybe we'll start with Chopper on this one. You see a lot. You coach a lot of kid pitch teams when they're just starting out. What's enough? What's too much?
Yeah, for me, 20 pitches is kind of a safe, good estimate. Some kids could probably throw more, but I'm going to go with 20. And it's certainly not starting them out right away in a game. Like, okay, first time is like, no, they got to do flat grounds. I go 10 pitches every practice, and then slowly building that arm strength. But I'm comfortable with that number. What do y'all think?
I like
I,
that.
I,
Yeah.
I used to do a ceiling. That would be a good floor for me. And then as a ceiling, I just take their age, I divide it by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and I multiply that by 10. 40 would be an absolute ceiling, and that's further in the season. The kid has been pitching. So I would just say that's an absolute top. 40 pitches is going to get you through about 3 innings. If you were in a baseball game situation and the kid was really dealing, it could be only be 1 inning. Sometimes that might just be the 1 inning. So, but that would just be my ceiling.
I like that. I like that equation.
Ceiling's good. Scholar salute, Coach Flicky. I think the grander conversation is less is more in this situation. Instead of 60 feet, maybe it's 30 feet flat grounds where you're developing the skills, but you're not wearing them out. The science shows that when you're throwing as hard as you can on that fastball, that is causing the most injuries. That elbow, that Tommy Jonathan, it's most of it is just overuse in high leverage moments. So be hyper aware that this kid's future and the amount of time they spend on a ball field, the length of their career is more important than the win that day. And then secondly, I think there's got to be uh, rule changes to where at these early ages of kid pitch, 8, 9, 10, there's got to be a hybrid where instead of allowing these 7 pitchers to pitch who have never pitched in a game and throw 40 consecutive balls, where kids are stealing bases, the catcher is playing fetch, and the center fielder hasn't moved in 30 minutes. We had this discussion a few episodes ago where the name of the episode is "Did we fix Little League?" But there has to be a hybrid where let's give the kid 4 pitches, whether they're balls or strikes, and then it's ball in play. On that 5th pitch, there's got to be a ball in play. Maybe that's side toss. Maybe the kid tosses it up to themselves and hits it. But we need kids hitting a ball, fielding a ball, covering a base, backing up, and moving. And then next batter up in 10 seconds. I also think practice can be the place where you develop those skills and maybe create a competition where if you want to pitch those 4 pitches in the game or that 1 inning, those 20 pitches in a game, you've got to get a certain amount of points in practice. What I love to do with kids doing kid pitch is you also want the batters to get some experience standing in the box. So the batter has a helmet on. Maybe there's a coach catching or a kid catcher. And the batter also has a glove on. Instead of a bat, they've got a glove. So there's a kid pitching, and the batter, if the ball's coming at them, they can just catch the ball. But they can also start to feel and experience seeing the ball out of a kid's hand as it goes past them. In your first year of kid pitch, 4 kids are going to get hit, and they're going to be afraid of the ball for maybe a whole year. That is just going to happen. Expect it. And that's a whole nother topic and webinar in itself, how to overcome the fear of it. But yeah, first year of kid pitch, the first time I pitched, I was 8 years old and I hit 8 straight batters. I told that to Daniel Bard today on the phone, and he said, I did that when I was 30. Amazing. So we unpacked a lot there, but yeah, anything to button up that topic, coaches? Pretty solid. Question number 3. I've been coaching for 8 years. I have been dealt the most inexperienced team I've ever coached. Once I realized where we stand, I told the parents I have corrected my expectations. Maybe 0-10 is our expectations, but I'm afraid kids will walk away from the sport if we can't scrounge a couple of wins together. How can I get these kids that winning feeling without the actual wins? And this is a 12U team. So, um, Flick Money, what do you got on doesn't look good? How do we give them that winning feeling?
Yeah. This is I love that Hunter Pence popped in here today of this idea of the macro vision. Macro vision is we win a game. We're gonna feel it. We're gonna pour Gatorade all over each other. We're gonna go out for ice cream afterwards. But now the micro, what are the steps to get there? We're gonna have to really set some what we used to in education we used to call SMART goals, and SMART was an acronym. You know, it's simple, measurable, realistic, timely goals for how we could have success in practice time. And so as a coach, I can have the vision, if we can, there's a progression, if we can build on these, if I can get us playing a really great game of catch, if our warm-ups are really tight, you know, a nice little throwing progression, and they're working at it. As we take ground balls, we see that we're learning how to actually play in field defense. You have to build those SMART goals, practice by practice, knowing that by the end of the season, if we can do these things, it could turn into a W. It may not, but that's our macro vision. But let's just break it down into really small chunks and make those practices fun. As we're learning and developing those skills, nothing breeds confidence like hard work. So let's work hard at it. Let's engage them. I love to engage my players. What do you know about what wins baseball games? What helps win baseball games? Okay, good hitting. They're going to say good pitching. They're going to say good defense, good base running, right? What about the dugout? How's the dugout feel on a winning team? Oh, the people cheer for each other, engage their learning, and then where you can help them, engage them in building those practice plans. Here's what we're working on as part of that winning formula so that we can get to the end, and let's engage them over a whole season. And if that team, this might be one of the greatest like opportunities to learn the value and benefit of not only baseball but just hard work in general, that you can set a goal, and if the team works on those micro steps together, it can turn into something beautiful. I would love to coach. I love teams that really struggle, the bad news bears sort of season. I love that. And there's just such ripe opportunities for human development. So congratulations, coach. Thanks for the question, and break it down into small chunks with them.
Yeah, I mean, keep score on your scoreboard of life lessons they're going to learn, and what kind of improvements as a human they're going to be, and that'll give you plenty to work with. Because let's be honest, that is what's most important. I think that's not the norm these days, but yeah, win small to win big, win small to win big. Chopper.
Yeah, I would just say redefine what a win is, especially as a coach. If you feel like that's an unachievable goal for the scoreboard to end up in your favor, change the definition of a win. Hey, guys, if we can come out here and stick together for an hour and a half and be engaged and watch every pitch and cheer for each other, like, let's just control that. And anything else that happens, we'll learn from it. And to Flick Money's point, like, inch by inch, we'll get a little bit incrementally better every opportunity, but let's just see how engaged we can be and how many great friendships can we create out of this roster of 12 kids. And we're going to go through this together. We're not focused on the scoreboard. We're just focused on our energy and each other. And that'd be a cool opportunity as a coach, because to your point, baseball's just a vessel. Like, what would you rather have? All right, we got a team of absolute studs that are, shoplifting and can't focus in a classroom. And I guess there'd be a cool moment in that as a coach too, because you can try to work them back to being that good member of society. The point is, whatever hand you're dealt, play it, and as a coach, you've got to create that vision. You've got to build trust, and you've got to create a culture to where whoever steps in the room, you get to kind of inch them closer to how productive can this young man be when he gets older off the field.
There's a small chance that all of that awesomeness you're pouring into these kids as humans, the byproduct is a win down the road. And imagine the memorable moment you create when they actually do win one of those games, and they go 1-9 instead of 0-10. Man, it's right in front of you, Coach.
And it
Awesome.
happens in baseball. Baseball, maybe more than any other game, it happens where things just go your way one time. Basketball, football, soccer, largely games of a team's way more talented and experienced. They're probably going to beat you. But man, baseball is one of those weird games where it just can. Their hot shot pitcher can't throw strikes that day. Next thing you know, you got a few runs on the board early. You're guy who just can't stop hitting barrels, but those barrels start finding your defensive players. Kids start catching the ball. Like weird things happen in baseball. So hang with them, man. This is be open to a miracle.
Good point. It's the best
Exactly.
sport for it. Is the best sport for it. We've all lived it where we're like, holy cow, we just lost to a team that we beat them 99 out of 100 times. But there's that one day. Yeah, that's man. I hope for that coach and for those players, they get that one day. That'd be pretty special.
Keep us updated, Coach. Let us know how it's going. Hey, that is an hour with the boys. We've got questions already set and ready for next week, and we'll try to hit 3 to 5 questions from you each week. So bring them to my email, coachballgame@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram. It's good to be back, gentlemen. It's more for me than anybody else. I tell you that much. I love you guys.
I want to say I love you too, Coach Ballgame, and I want to just say how thankful I am that we have Flick Money. Flick, you're a genius, dude. So super thankful that you're with us, and I really really appreciate you, and I'm super excited, man, for the folks to hear just through your experience and how much you've studied this, and I talk about you all the time, buddy. So I just want to tell you that I'm thankful for you. I'm proud to be your friend, and we're lucky to have you, dude.
Oh man, thank you for that. I received that. My heart's swelled up like a watermelon right now, and I would just say that you two are chicken soup for my soul, and just I feel like we're just into something great. So I'm in. I want to be on this rocket ship, this love-based rocket ship forever. Let's go.
I
Baby.
love it. I love it. Flick Money. This will be a tease for next week. We've got to discuss the state of Washington sandlots we just did and why they were so epic. So we'll talk about that. We've got questions queued up, but thanks again. We're going to rake, we're going to bang, and we'll see you next week.